Don't
All right.
bark at the boys.
Officially
You come in
recording.
here. You're gonna be good if you're gonna come in here.
Let's take bets on if that's a dog or a kid he's talking to.
No, I'm talking to my dog.
All right. So, how it's gonna work? Oh,
Aw,
puppy.
It's
Oh,
Jazzy.
what a
hey,
cutie.
Jazzy. All
Yeah,
right.
she's a
So,
Chiweenie.
we'll,
Oh, Chiweenie, I love it.
Yeah, she's great.
Jacob's a
She's
Chiweenie.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, Chiweenie at heart.
yeah.
All right.
All
Well, I'm
right.
gonna start recording, and I'll count down, and we got a little music that plays at the beginning, so it might be silent for you for a couple seconds, but then we'll come in, introduce you, and then we'll just chaos will ensue from there. So here we go in 3, 2, 1.
Just drop that ass, bitches. Open micers in the house. Pop that pussy with that open micers logo in your mouth. Jason with his bald ass head. Jacob looking inbred. Open micers, bitch. Heard what I said. Drop that ass, drop that ass. Open micers in the house. Drop that ass, pop that pussy. Open micers in the house. Open micers in the house. Open micers is a mouse. Drop that ass, pop that pussy. Open micers in the house. The mic is now open.
And then thank you again to at MushmouthTB, Mr. Mark Simmons, for our new theme song there. And my name is Jason Robbins.
I'm Jacob Craig, and the theme song's been getting credits lately too.
Yeah.
The most recent credit of Sam Talent saying that's the worst song I've ever heard in my entire life. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna send that to Mark Simmons, and I expect him to use that in a bio. But,
I'm still waiting for the theme song to play.
Oh yeah.
That sounded like a threat. That music was very threatening.
Oh yeah. So that voice that you guys hear right now is somebody that I'm very high on. If you follow our blog, you know I've written about this guy. He is a comedian that you know from the Bob and Tom show very recently. You've probably seen his viral Facebook reels and clips. He is quite possibly the fastest rising comedian in the country right now, and I'm very excited to be talking to him. The host of the Tarp Report podcast, Sam Miller. Everybody, how you doing, man?
Woo-hoo.
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm doing good today.
How do you feel about our theme song, Sam? I want to get feedback because that's the third time we've used it.
Yeah, man. No, maybe it should be the last time you use it. It's terrible. It doesn't sound like I was I don't know. It sounds like somebody who's like learning how to beatbox and then kind of giving up, and I'll just like, oh, I can't beatbox. I guess I'll just talk real weird. That's what it sounds like to me. Yeah. So, I don't know, whatever, man. People are into all kinds of stuff, man. If that theme song brings you guys joy, and the guy who made it joy, then who am I to try to take that joy from you?
Hey, that theme song has gotten us a lot of content over the last couple of weeks, so I'm for keeping it, man. I like it.
Yeah, it makes for a killer opening question.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good icebreaker. What do you think about our garbage theme song that we know is bad? Even the person that made it knows it's bad. But what do you think? Why do you think it's bad?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong with it. I think it just says, first off, it just says open micer over and over again, which is, I know the name of this outfit you guys got going here. But so like open mics have their own problems. So
Right.
everybody thinks they're either Bill Hicks or Bill Burr, and they yell about what they think about things, and that's terrible. So
Yeah. I mean, that's what you get here sometimes.
yeah,
One of
good.
us thinking we're one of those people and yelling about things. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
It's not out of the ordinary for us.
Yeah. People ask me what my favorite part of being a stand-up comedian is, and it's hearing 22-year-old Uber drivers tell me what they think about things. That's my favorite part of stand-up. I'm like, oh man, I wonder what this guy thinks. This guy from Redmond.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you know what grinds my gears is capitalism. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. And I might even agree with the dude that maybe capitalism isn't great, but still, I don't care.
I feel like in your part of the world, you get the opposite of what we get. Because when we go to open mics, someone will come up and say something just slightly conservative or right wing and
Yeah.
expect everyone to lose their fucking minds. And everyone's just like, you're not special. Like, that's just your opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a very like left-leaning area, and like I honestly, I made a conscious decision a couple years ago. I don't talk about my politics publicly right now. Maybe someday
Yeah.
I'll start doing it again. But like career-wise, I've just decided and to not do that. But on stage, if you pay attention to what I'm saying, I think I make some decent points about how I relate to the world as a formerly homeless individual.
Right.
That I think that's a lot of why, you know, um, my comedy stuff is going well. Is it maybe I'm tackling some topics that people haven't heard tackled quite this way in a while. So.
Well,
Yeah, right. I mean, how many famous comedians can you name that used to be homeless drug addicts? Like I can't think of any.
Yeah, I think there's some. I mean, I think what happens is unfortunately is when you kind of go through some of the things that you did, that this industry is incredibly hard to navigate.
Mhm.
That's the issues that I have is not on stage is the celebration and everything else is the work,
Right.
the social media stuff, which some of which I do enjoy and I do get a kick out of that many people seeing my stuff. But oh man, the emails to nobody, that's tough, because I was ready for rejection. I just didn't know most of the responses I get from bookers would just be a cavernous silence,
we we were just
So,
talking about that right before you got on the call because
yeah, yeah,
that's
Yeah,
the
dude.
thing is trying to get out of town to do more shows, and it's almost impossible. Like it's just it doesn't matter. Like around here, if we show up out of town to do some mics and stuff, no matter how many times me and Jacob do these mics, it's like they never. It's like their memory. They have a memory wipe as soon as the show is over with. Like you
yeah.
try to contact and be like, "Hey, can we get a feature or whatever?" Like, who are you again? Like, really? You know me by name?
The stuff that I heard early on, and I still think it rings true, is like the only way to do anything in comedy is to try to just be completely like undeniable. Like you have to
Mhm.
just like, especially if you're out of town, it's a very top heavy pyramid, I have a lot of friends. Here's the thing. This has helped me a lot. I really like dirt track stock car racing, and I am friends with drivers and stand-up comedy and stock car racing. Not like NASCAR, but like the local stuff is very similar. There's a whole lot of people that are very talented that don't make any money, and
Mhm.
that's what it is. I actually think that that's enough of that analogy.
Oh, that's the entertainment industry in a nutshell. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
maybe 5 people in all of entertainment industry that actually make money.
Yeah, it's very strange to watch. There are a lot of comedians that I came up with that were immensely talented that quit.
Mhm.
And I do not blame them at all. So
Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day, dude. I mean, 5 years ago on our Gulf Coast scene, if these people that quit had the opportunity in the shows that are happening now, just 5 years later, then maybe they wouldn't have quit. Maybe they would have been able to move somewhere and make something of themselves. Because I
yeah,
can name 10 comedians right now sitting here that are way funnier than me that are just like, yeah, I quit and I had a baby and now I work in accounting.
yeah, yeah. And I think that they should be commended for
Right.
stopping.
They made the right choice. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
They did it correctly.
Yeah, I this is a Sam Miller hot take. OpenMicersPodcast exclusive. Is that I don't think about quitting comedy, but I do sometimes imagine what my life would be like if I never started. And that I think that I might be a generally happier person if I had never started doing stand-up comedy. Which is saying something because I love it so much, but the first it's this combination of these magical moments and then this general kind of heartbreaking jungle that you're trying to get through, like you have this art form that puts you in front of people that can blow up your ego like a balloon,
Yeah.
and then these a multitude of interactions that just deflate you completely.
Well,
And
I think also
luckily for me, I have a therapist, and I'm involved in a support group for people like me, and I'm okay, sort of.
Well, I think for people like us, the three of us in this little room here, for people like us, and I know for me especially, I can't speak for the both of you, but there's like a risk reward thing that comes from stuff like the stuff I've done in the past. Like I was a musician for a long time. I've made movies, do stand up. And there's this risk reward thing that I haven't gotten the reward yet, but I sure have taken a lot of risks. And I feel like if I hadn't taken all the risks that I have, if I had maybe stayed in college and finished a psychology degree or something, would I be happier doing that or being poor and taking all the risks that I've taken? But I've done some cool stuff, but no monetary reward yet, though. I say yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think comics, and I think it's important on podcasts like this that I think there's probably some comics that listen to this, is that my margins are still incredibly slim. I do make money doing stand-up comedy, and I make enough to keep doing it, and that's about it. Because anytime I get a bigger opportunity to make more money, I usually immediately reinvest that into taking a stab at a new area. Like the Midwest tour, I'm just now starting to make money touring. I did this Midwest tour, and I actually did, I did 10 shows in 9 days. And I think I might have brought home after expenses maybe $700
Wow.
after all those days, and I knew that's what to expect. And then I did a 9-day crazy road tour where I went all the way out to Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and I pretty much just broke even on that. That's kind of what that looked like. Actually, I did a little bit better than even. I think I probably came home with 600 or something, but that one was hard to keep track of just because the gas and the hotels and the food and all that stuff, it all adds up. But that's the name of the game, though. That's
Yeah.
what you do. And now I'm kind of in this bizarre dance where I could still make good money locally in the Northwest. And I've been working in the Northwest for a long time. A lot of people, I'm starting to get national attention now, but I've been doing stand-up comedy for 9 years in the Northwest. And I've been headlining for 4 or 5 years. I kind of forced myself into this mix, because I never really worked clubs that much. So I just started headlining bar shows. And it turns out it works out, and that's kind of not a bad way to do it,
Yeah.
No offense to any comedy clubs, but sometimes that's they seem kind of like a racket to me, but what do I know?
So do you prefer the bar shows over the actual comedy clubs?
I prefer them because I could get them,
Yeah.
like these clubs, especially around here, it's I hosted my own show in Olympia called Vomity for 5 years. It was a weekly show, and I had people from all over the country perform there, and it went really well. And it was a curated open mic with a feature spot. That's what it was. But we did it every week, and we did the best we could. And that's where I kind of learned how to do comedy, and and then I would start taking stabs, doing guest spots, maybe getting some feature work here and there, But the clubs we had, like I was working the Comedy Underground up in Seattle a little bit, but that's gone. Like that COVID killed that. I still work for John Fox sometimes. I like John. And he was the owner, and he runs the Seattle International Comedy Competition and the San Francisco Comedy Competition. I've done the Seattle International Comedy Competition twice, and then 2 years ago I got second place, which was crazy. And yeah, you do what you got to do. I don't know. Like you know what's funny is as much as I'm like, oh man, like this, I'm on this great trajectory. I still headline bar shows. Like that's what I do, you know, like I'll go anywhere and do comedy if the money is like I'm asking for a little bit more money than I used to, just to make ends meet. But generally, it's my goal. After expenses, I try to make like $800 a week. That's kind of going up right now, which is cool. And there's some shows now that I'm getting 2 grand for,
Yeah.
for like corporate things. And that's great because there's some nights where, I might walk away with $100 in my pocket, on some weeknights here and there. So anyway, I kind of went on a rant.
Yeah, that's actually something I want to bring up for anybody in the entertainment industry, like whatever you're doing. The corporate shows, if you can get them, that's where a majority of your living money is going to come from, because those are the good paying gigs.
Yeah. And I work, I'm getting more of those too. People don't realize this. Like I work clean if I have to. Like I can work clean. It's a weird version of clean where I talk about meth a lot, but
Right.
it's still clean.
Right.
I think I get away with a lot because I talk about, how I'm sober now. So it's more like I'm more setting up a redemption arc than I am like just.
Everybody
screaming
loves
about
that.
meth.
Everybody loves a good redemption arc.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's kind of tiring after a while to be on it. I'm kind of over my redemption arc. I kind of feel like I should start doing meth again.
Just for material.
That's my wild card move.
But I'm glad you bring that up though, man, because I mean, bar shows actually aren't as bad as everyone makes them out to be. Like,
Yeah.
especially down here where we don't really have clubs. Like
Yeah.
our closest club is in New Orleans, and a lot of people choose to not work at that club because the club owner owned a previous club and then went through a whole Me Too thing about, touching people or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's the one club we have to work at. So let's just fucking do bar shows that are really good and bring in really good headliners. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the move. I mean, I believe that stand-up comedy has never been like bigger than it. I mean, obviously in the boom days, in the 80s or whatever, it was bigger than this, but
Yeah.
it feels like with this internet stuff, like it's blowing up. Like, what's weird is that we talk about how this comedian goes viral and this comedian goes viral. Stand-up comedy as a whole is like viral as shit because all these platforms, especially TikTok, like they need content, like they churn through it. Like the way people consume this stuff in 1 minute increments that fast, like it chews up. There's all kinds of opportunities. If
Like
you're
I have
smart.
a ton of comedians on my TikTok that, put up 30-second 1 minute clips. I'm like, I need to be freaking doing that, but I'm 46 years old and I'm lazy.
Yeah, I'm happy. It's funny. You kind of talked about it a little bit maybe before that, but I've had a lot of success with Facebook Reels. It's been really interesting. I didn't expect that to happen, but I'm kind of like every time. So I edit my clips in Canva actually is what I
nice.
use.
Yeah.
Because I'm 40 and I understand the platform and
Right there with you.
I have a guy, my friend Tom captions them sometimes I caption them, and then I have these 1 minute clips and I put them on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm not really messing with YouTube that much. I don't know why, probably because I'm stubborn and I feel like I'm doing enough. And every time I put one out, I have no idea what's going to happen with them. What's funny is I put up a clip yesterday on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and it's barely doing anything on Facebook and Instagram, but it's blowing up on TikTok. Like people love this clip on TikTok. It might be my most viewed TikTok ever, and I have no idea why it goes in one place and doesn't go in the other, and like it'll be like that, and like also like vice versa. Like there's been a couple that have done well on all of it, you know, but usually it's just like nothing or one of them or whatever, and then you just keep doing it. Like that's what happened is like I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and then the one that people saw the most was funny because that was by the Humboldt Jungle in Chicago. Very, very great guys. And it was that joke about me being a semi truck while I'm making love to my wife. And that's what kind of, I think that's really what kind of kicked off this kind of rise that you're talking about, Jacob. Like that was kind of it. Like I feel like, you know, it's funny is I actually wrote a joke about what happened when that clip went viral, is that clip changed my career, you know. And the best part in this joke that I talk about, like I was in the comments of that video. So it really is a video about me pretending to be a semi truck. It's a really stupid joke. It's me pretending to be a semi truck and having sex with my wife. And the best part is that in the comment section, there is a whole bunch of truckers on Facebook, and they're arguing about what kind of truck I sound like. And it's pretty amazing. So
yeah, it's just
Yeah,
whatever catches the algorithm, you know, on each platform, and that's a game I am not willing to play. That's just too much.
Well, there are some things, man. There's simple things that comics can do to make that stuff, you know, work for them, you know. And if you are a comedian and you want to try to have some more success online, just look at the videos that are doing well and copy them. Like that's basically what I did. I got a lot of help from Bo Johnson, who I don't know if you guys are familiar with. Have you seen any Bo Johnson stuff?
I've seen him. I've seen his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, Bo's doing very well, and he's a good friend of mine. And Bo Johnson actually helped me a lot with my internet stuff, you know, because Bo's a younger man than me, and
Right.
it's a general understanding. Most comics are younger than me. That's what I've realized now. So,
Right. Fuck, I just had a question and I forgot it. Jason, help me.
I don't know what you were where you were going, but I wanted to ask. So you do think that you know, like TikTok and Reels and stuff like that, do you think that is what's keeping comedy alive, or do you think eventually stuff like that's going to hurt it because of the short attention span aspect of it?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, I think that these algorithms and stuff, and it seems like what they were after was they really wanted crowd work and like heckler interaction stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff does really well because that stuff's exciting. But you know what's weird about that shit is that I bet out of all the hecklers I've ever interacted with, maybe only 25% of those interactions were interesting. The rest were honestly a lot of times like it's at a terrible show that I wouldn't post clips from anyway, you know.
Right.
Like,
Well, me personally, I feel like the whole taking down hecklers and stuff like that, I think that encourages heckling myself. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I like to watch a comedian take down a heckler as much as everybody else, but I feel like it gives the hecklers out there like, ooh, maybe I'll be the one in the video that makes somebody go viral.
Yeah, I mean, think about how many people are buying tickets to a Steve Hofstetter show hoping that they get in a viral clip, because that's like all of his clips.
Yeah, my friend Andrew Rivers is actually on tour with Steve right now. I've been watching it. It's kind of crazy. You know, with the clips and like what people like and what people don't like as far as like encouraging hecklers and stuff. So if you would have asked me a week ago, I said it's probably not the best thing. But right now, I have a clip that's doing very well of me dealing with a heckler, so I'm a fan now. So, like most stuff, I really hate it until it works for me, and then I like it. That's how it works, you know. Like
That
it's like a new food. It's like, oh, I've never had broccoli and cheddar cheese before, and then I think it's bad, and then I ate it, and I was like, oh, it's pretty good. I love this. I've always loved this, you know. No,
actually
I don't know, man. Like, fuck it, dude. Like, some of these folks, it is terrible, and it sucks that maybe it is. But I tend to think that like the heck hecklers are a part of comedy. They're a shitty part of comedy, but it's part of the deal. And also, not all hecklers are the same, And I know that they made that movie about it or whatever and I kind of want to watch that again. I haven't seen it in a long time with Jamie Kennedy, right? And he has that. You know what I'm talking about?
You just sparked a memory, but I don't
There's a
remember.
movie about comedians and hecklers and how people deal with it, and it talks about like Jason Richards. It was like the absolute worst way to deal with it, by yelling the N-word at people.
Michael Richards.
Michael
Yeah,
Richards.
dude.
Who's
Yeah.
Jason Richards?
I don't know.
I don't know who that is.
I was about to look up Jason Richards, like, is this someone I need to know?
Yeah. Michael Richards. Yeah. Sorry, Jason Richards, if you're listening to this.
Jason Richards did not yell the N-word. Whoever
Well, he
is.
might have. We don't know.
He might have. We need to
Whoever
investigate.
he is. Yeah, maybe he's saying it right now. He might use it more than anybody. I don't know.
Open Micers investigates. We need to find out.
But there's different kinds of hecklers. So like there's a lot of times there are people that are like incredibly invested in your act. Like they love what you're doing, and their issue is not with stand-up comedy and not with you, but it's with communication and humanity in general. They just don't understand where they're at and what they're supposed to be doing, and there's a gentle way to handle that that's better for the show. Then you got drunk people that are just obnoxious, and like also once again, like, what do you expect? Everybody's drunk. Like that's like
right.
like, and then there's the people that have like real animosity towards you because they're upset with something that you said, or maybe their wife is leaving them. And yeah, fuck them. But
I've definitely encountered that.
Yeah.
That reminds me of my question though. I feel like more comics should approach the reels and the clips and everything as a fan, because as a comedy fan, approaching the reels and the YouTubes, trying to discover new comics, like that's made our podcast better, because now like through the reels or whatever, I'm finding comics that I actually really like and really fuck with, and I'm genuine fans. So then we get them on the podcast, and I can actually ask them questions I want to ask them. Like, I'm genuinely a fan of you. I just discovered you. This is great. Like, we've done that with you, and then we just had on Sam Talent. Like, it's
who I'm
I
a
think
huge
it's
fan of, by the way. Shout out Sam Talent.
he would love you,
Honestly,
dude.
go ahead. Sorry, finish your question.
No, I mean, that was it. We can talk about something else now.
I talk a lot on my social media about like what comedy is like at this level for me, and how frustrating like the business side is. But all that is balanced with the fact that I'm ecstatic that like it seems like I'm gonna be able to do this. Like the idea that I'm like a spiritual kind of dude sometimes. But I don't really believe in the afterlife. I think that's kind of weird. But the idea that I might get to do stand-up comedy the rest of my life as a job is so cool.
Yeah.
Like it's so cool. And yeah, like I'm bust, like I work hard. Like it's crazy. Like I don't know how many hours a week I work at stand-up comedy, but it's a lot. And that's not that's even without counting like the driving and on being on stage,
Right.
But to your point, Jacob, man, I really appreciate it. A lot of times, that what I wrote about when you put me in that article, and like that's the kind of stuff that keeps me going, is that there are, people do recognize that like that I do have something going on, that I am, because at my core, the first time I did stand-up comedy, the first time I did an open mic, I got off stage and my first thought was like, oh man, I'm gonna get divorced. Like, because I've been clean and sober now for 15 years, but you know what? Stand-up comedy is the drug that I'm allowed to do. And I love drugs, so like,
yeah, dude, drugs are great.
yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, until, whatever, what are you going to do? Yeah. But yeah, I've been, part of me, it's funny, like a lot of times I'm just really, I can't wait to see what happens next. Like, I have no, like, I mean, we could talk about what happened this morning.
Yeah, dude, I saw that because I noticed that you said that you were going to post an announcement like right around the time of our podcast. So I was looking for it to be able to talk about it. Your album is finally coming out in October.
Yeah. Those of you that like, a lot of people don't know this, but like this happened. I think I signed with Stand Up Records 2 years ago. Stand Up Record is run by Dan Schlissel. He's won a Grammy. He's a great guy, great label. A lot of my favorite comedians have been on Stand Up Records, and a lot of them continue to be on Stand Up Records. So I have a 3-album deal with Stand Up Records, and the first one of those we recorded in April of 2022. We recorded so over a year ago, well over a year ago. And yeah, it's coming out in October. So the video portion will be released October 20th, and then vinyl and everything else will be October 27th. And the reason it's taken so long is because we're doing vinyl.
Oh, so, that's cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah, getting vinyl made right now is like a pain in the ass.
Yes.
But it's happening. We're doing it. And another thing, if you go to my Facebook or my Instagram, but yeah, the cover art is made by who's become a great friend of mine, Pat Moriarty, who's been in Mad Magazine and worked with Robert Crumb, and he actually lives in the Northwest. He's a famous cartoonist, and me and him have become really good friends. It's really awesome. So I go out and hang out with Pat on his back deck and talk about trying to be an artist, which is weird. But yeah, I'm pumped. It's great. I really think like that album, and also I recorded this. It's called Round Trip. We were going to call it Full Circle, but there's another comic in the Northwest named Tyler Bowe, who's very funny, out of Portland there. He already had an album called Full Circle, so we changed the name to Round Trip. And we recorded it at the historic Capitol Theater in downtown Olympia. And that is, in fact, the last night that I was like on the streets. Like, I was homeless after I got sober, but my last night doing drugs and like being outside homeless, I slept in front of that theater. That's where I woke up June 10th, 2008.
Wow.
And then I recorded the album there. So it's pretty wild stuff, man.
Dude, that is an inspiring journey right there.
Yeah,
I'm tired of it, but I'm glad that people find it inspiring.
That raises a lot of questions for me. First of all, so when this comes out October 20th, if people want to watch it online, where will it be available online?
This is the fun part, is that we don't all the way know. So they work. I'm talking out of my ass here because I don't know exactly what's going on, but there's like a video distribution deal that they work with, the label works with. And I was going to self-release, but I wanted to work with a label because I have such a hard time with with organization, and I chose Stand Up Records specifically because they put out great content. And also part of the deal that I signed with them is that I can buy my own material at cost. So because I'm going to sell shit out on the road. Like, that's how I make my money, And I think it's going to do really well. I forgot, what was your question?
I was asking where will people be able to find it online?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. So you're going to be able to buy like vinyls and records of this and then sell it on the road.
Yes. And oh yeah, so to your question, I do indeed do not know. There is a chance it could be anywhere on the spectrum from YouTube, which a lot of people are doing, and there's a chance that might happen, all the way to like a streaming service. Um, Netflix would be obviously like my first choice, and that's not out of the question, but we do not know right now, and it's probably not going to be Netflix. There's a good chance that it might be a thing where it's on like Amazon Prime or Hulu for like a certain amount of time if they're trying to do stand up. It's all like these market forces that I don't have to worry about because I'm on Stand Up Records and they handle that part of my deal. All I have to do is write more meth jokes. And,
Hell yeah.
I write them really fast.
So you recorded it in April 2022, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I recorded any of my material from April 2022 and listened to it now, I would want to shoot myself in the fucking head. Do you feel the same way?
A little bit, but also no, because yeah, I don't really think about shooting myself too much. If I was going to do anything, I'd probably jump off of something, but I'm not going to do that because I'm doing better now.
Which I mean, I feel like comics in general, just like just a backstage like comedy thing. It's like we hate listening to material that like we don't do anymore or whatever because it's like, oh shit, I'm funnier than that now.
So here's the thing: is that I still do my opener from that, and I'll still do that closer that's on the album.
Gotcha.
Because I really like it. And there's some stuff in the middle that I'll occasionally do. And the way my material evolves, I think might be different than other comics sometimes. I usually write on stage. And a lot of times outside of writing on stage, I will take pieces of jokes and I'll take pieces of old jokes and put them in the middle of new jokes. And I'll put new jokes in the middle of old jokes, and then I'll do jokes backwards. Sometimes I'll start jokes and I won't finish them because I'll start doing something else. I don't really, every time I get on stage, I have like an opener, and then generally I have like a few different closers I like. But what happens in the middle, I don't really worry about it. I just try to be really funny.
So what is your writing process like? Do you just kind of write ideas down, or is it more?
Yeah,
like
I just put things. I have like the notes app in my phone, and then I put it in there, and then I never do them because I'm too busy. So I don't do any open mics or anything. No, I've been trying to squeeze stuff in. I I'm working on a thing right now that here's something. I used to have this doctor who was like a combat medic. I really liked him. He was like this hardcore like army veteran. And I don't know, he had that thing where like each of his eyes was like a different color. And it made he was really easy to listen to because I have ADHD and his eyes would like distract me enough to where I could understand what he was saying. Like that's a thing that I've never done that I'm working on. There's this bit about, so one of the clips that went viral is a joke about when I was homeless and I let this guy blow me when I was homeless because I didn't want to sleep outside. Which I try to say in like a nice way as to not like, I'm not trying to be shocking or anything. It's just some shit that happened. Yeah. And so I put out this clip online and I go, oh yeah, like I'm a straight guy, but I let this guy blow me one time. And, there's a lot more to the joke than that. But anyway, I put that out there. And it turns out if you put a clip online about how you're a straight dude that let a dude blow you, people do not believe that you're straight. And I get so many like messages, and like a lot of them are flattering. Like, I don't mind if dudes are attracted to me. I could give a shit, that's good. Like that feels good that they're attracted to me because it's like than I am an attractive person, which I've heard is fun. But some of them are very confusing. There's this guy. So I get these messages a lot of times from fans, and they're like, hey, you should come to upstate New York. And that's a message I got, and I get, oh, you should come to Kansas City. You should come to the UK. But I got a message from this dude. He's like, hey, you should come to upstate New York. And I was like, yeah, man, I'll try to make it. Like, I don't have a lot of say sometimes in where I go. It's mostly people who reach out to me is usually the best way for me to get booked, is I kind of wait for them to come to me and then I start negotiating. And he goes, yeah, I'd love it if you came through, because he goes, I'm secretly bi too. And I was
like, that's so funny, dude. That was the last thing I thought when I saw that clip. Like, because you say it, like the first line you say, it's like, I'm a straight dude, but I fucking checked. Like,
yeah.
You reiterate that you are in fact straight because you found out the hard way.
But so that's actually part of the joke, is that I think people think I'm gay because I say I'm straight. Right. There's nothing gayer than insisting you're straight all the time.
Right.
I think that's what's happening. So
yeah, I mean, to be fair, that is kind of historically accurate. Like, everyone is like, nah, dude, I'm fucking.
Are either of you guys gay, fellas?
No.
All right.
Yeah.
It'd be cooler if you were.
Yeah, right. No.
More exciting. I have a lot of. I'll tell you something kind of wild, man. Is so when I got sober in 2008, right? I used to not be a very forward-thinking individual. Like, I didn't really understand like gay folks, trans folks, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then when I got sober in 2008. A lot of the people that helped me get sober were like gay and like trans folks and stuff like that. And it was weird because like I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm like, please help me, like right. I needed like help. And they helped me. Like, some of the language I was using, like I was still throwing like the F word around a lot back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I think, I always say this, man, to people in comedy, like, you can say whatever you want, but there's consequences and shit like that, and like, oh, yeah. I think there's a lot of people that confuse edginess for bravery, like, oh, I'm saying this wild thing, I'm such a brave comedian. I'm like, no, you're not brave, you're just not funny, and it's never going to work out for you. And they're like, oh, I can't believe what I said at that comedy show. And I'm like, that wasn't a show, there was 4 people there, and right. They were all mad at you. 3 of them were just waiting to go on stage, and they're on their phone. But that's the thing about me, though, man, is it I have a lot of love for those communities, because those communities have shown me a lot of love. Mm-hmm. And you will never hear Sam Miller have any jokes that even smell a little bit like homophobia, because that's not my deal. And another thing too is that maybe it doesn't matter what I think about some stuff, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to talk about homelessness and addiction, maybe that's something you should listen to me about, right? Yeah. But this other shit, like what other people do, man, that shit's tired as hell, man. I'm so tired of like all these comics that have all these hot takes, all this shit that has nothing to do with them,
Right.
Yeah. Like, no, whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna get off my fucking soapbox.
Okay, so I'm going to say this, and then I want to ask you a bunch of questions really fast, because we've been having a lot of fun, and I haven't asked you fucking anything about what the show's about. Okay. But I'm from the camp that comics should just start writing jokes again instead of just talking about opinions.
Yeah. I'm from a camp where you should, this is what I tell newer comics, is like, talk about something that's embarrassing about you. Talk about your insecurities. Don't go after other people's deals, know? Like, that's what's interesting. I did a show, I think I was probably 2 years into comedy. I was just starting to feature some, and like, I remember I was doing this show out in the middle of nowhere, and the headliner was late. He was in a traffic jam. And so I was supposed to do 25 minutes, but but instead of getting the light, I get the producer and he's giving me the finger roll. Like, hey, keep it going, keep it going. And I was out of jokes.
Yeah.
I was out of jokes. And immediately I was like, well, you know what? Like, and I was doing okay. I was like, I'm going to say something like bombastic. I'm going to say something that I'm going to talk about something that I'm ashamed of. And then I'm going to try to justify it. And that was the birth of these burglar jokes that I wrote. You know,
Right.
I riff that stuff because like it's something that I was ashamed about, you know. And that's the thing, is that like I think that comics, a lot of times we want to write these jokes that prove to people how clever we are. But people don't come to comedy shows to be outsmarted. They don't come to comedy shows to learn. They come to comedy shows to laugh. Like, so what I want to do is, instead of like trying to unite the crowd about my intelligence, I'm going to unite the crowd about the universal feeling that all human beings have on a daily basis, and that's fear.
Right.
It is scary to be on this planet. This planet is not, this is a hard place to live on Earth. You know, I'm not trying to say we should go to other planets. I'm just saying that, like,
Well, Sam, I think it would be harder to live on Mars.
yeah, it would be. Yeah, now that I think about it, that might be worse.
I think it would be worse, Sam.
Especially if you didn't have a helmet or nothing, just out there fucking raw dogging Mars.
Yeah, dude, you're not gonna make it, bro.
Yeah,
you can't sleep outside on Mars,
dude. That is the name of an album, Raw Dogging Mars.
They say the cold side is like minus 500 and the hot side's like 300 degrees or whatever. But what if you go right in the middle and you're like, shady part, sunny part, shady part, sunny part, shady part, sunny part, like real quick? Well, maybe that would work.
Dude, that sounds like
I feel like we need to send a billionaire up there to try it out.
Yeah, definitely.
Mars sounds like a McDLT. Keep the hot side hot and the cold side cold.
I'll tell you what, if there's 5 billionaires that would volunteer to go to Mars, I volunteer to make their spacecraft. I think I could do a slam and deal. There's a Home Depot about an hour, not an hour, about a mile from my house. And I know everybody there. They like me a lot because I wander around and stare at the chandeliers. I think they would like me quite a lot. So
you're just like,
I got a Wii remote laying around.
I got some schematics from a company called Ocean Gate. We're gonna make your spaceship.
It's just a Wii remote in like the thing for Mario Kart, the fucking wheel.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, I'll start my own company called Spaceships Are Us. And it'll be great. And I mean, it can't be that hard. You just got to make sure it's sealed up pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, that's step one. Sam, I have a lot of things I want to ask you before we get you out of here, buddy. First one being, and I know you don't really have an answer to this, but explain to our audience what's happening with all of the dumpster graffiti around Olympia, Washington.
Dude, okay. I'm finally ready to confess that I have no idea who's doing it, and I have no idea what. Like, I didn't ask anybody to do it. Sometimes it makes me uncomfortable, but mostly, like, I'm really into it. Like, I think it's really flattering. My favorite are the "Here's Good" ones. I don't necessarily like sometimes like the "I slept here" stuff makes me kind of uncomfortable because I didn't sleep there.
Right.
When I was homeless, I occasionally lived in tents. I actually lived in a barn on the west side of Olympia for a long time. I lived in abandoned houses. I lived on porches. I lived in a few doorways. I used to have a joke where it's like people said I'm homeless, but in a way I had more homes than you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no idea who's doing it. I'm flattered. Me and Olympia have this weird, beautiful relationship. Like, this is my town. Like, I love Olympia, Washington, because initially when I started doing comedy, I was pissed off. I was like, man, I wish I was in Seattle or Portland. But the thing is, I go to Seattle and Portland all the time, and it's there. Portland's about 2 hours away. Seattle's about an hour and 15 minutes away. I am going to Portland on Thursday, to do a show. I don't know who's doing it. And it's funny because I think the thing that makes me uncomfortable about it more than anything is that I'm worried that people think that I'm trying to do this like viral marketing thing or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm not. It's not my game. I would never like do that. Um, there's probably like two or three people that I think might be doing it, but just in my head, what's just as likely is that there's one person who I have no idea who's doing it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think people get a kick out of me, man. It's cool. I'm into it.
Pretty
Yeah.
flattering, though, somebody tagging graffiti in your honor.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty dope. And you know what's funny is that I keep there's new ones all the time. Like there's I think I know at least about like six or seven, and there's a new one on a mailbox that somebody just sent me. And people at Olympia are funny about it because they're like, this one, like I know, like my friend Heather, she runs like this little record store downtown. She's like, they put one right by my shop. I'm so excited. I'm like, yeah, there you go. But,
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So,
was on tour in the Midwest, and somebody sent me a picture,
oh,
and
wow.
man, it was actually funny. It was Pat Moriarty, the guy who did my album art,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Look what I found." I was like, "What the hell?" You know, it was cool.
Yeah, it's definitely very fun. Someone on our Ask Us Anything episode we did a couple episodes ago, they asked me and Jason if we thought that we could successfully fight a bear. And we came to the conclusion that no, me and Jason together could not beat a bear in a fight. But I think our odds would be better if we added Sam Miller into the equation. Do you think the three of us could successfully fight a bear?
All right, no. Inside Sam Miller history, I worked for the Forest Service for 3 years. I was a wildland firefighter for
Okay.
3 years. I have seen bears of different sizes. Um, I've seen them up close. And if any of these bears decided to tear you up or tear all three of us up, they would do a pretty damn good job. Like some of the black bears that I've seen are like fairly small, but even them, man, it's just claws and teeth, bro. We have all this wasted energy on brains and shit.
Did
They're
you
just
see the clip of the little black bear that came out of the Gulf of Mexico? That came. It was a video. Was it Pensacola or something? Jacob.
Oh, it was somewhere in Florida.
Just a bear came out of the ocean, and people
Yeah.
on the beach are like, "Whoa, a freaking bear!"
Yeah, dude. You know what's funny, man? There's a lot, dude. People don't realize how many black bears there are in the woods. I mean, there's a lot of them, and they stay hidden for the most part. You know.
Well, my
They might come
strategy
out
still
in pairs.
stands when it comes to fight. If the three of us had to fight a bear, my strategy still stands. As long as I can outrun the both of you, I live.
That's the move, man. That's the move.
Yeah, I feel like I'm dying in any scenario, no matter who we ask that question to. I'm getting left in the fucking dust.
You know, I think the best strategy is to negotiate with the bear and be
Right.
like, "Hey, I got this fucking sandwich, and this sandwich is better than me," you know.
Yeah,
And
just
then
throw-
I'll come back next week, and I'll give you another sandwich.
I'll come back with a whole picnic basket.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what's cool is you don't even have to come back because bear, you know,
Yeah,
you
no
just
sense of
say
time.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just don't go in the forest again. It won't find you.
Yeah, and then there'll be like a sad bear like waiting like a week later, and they're like, "This motherfucker.
Right.
This is
Uh,
why I shouldn't trust humans." And then
Sam-
the next guy who tries that, it won't work.
I want you to briefly describe to me how you found your first open mic, how you started comedy, and what was it like your first time doing comedy?
Briefly, okay, I got you. So,
I mean, we have time as long as you want to be here.
people told me for a long time that I should do stand-up comedy. I started hearing it in my early 20s. I tried to be funny my whole life. I failed forever. I was just a try-hard weirdo in high school. I did a lot of drugs. And then I got sober in 2008 when I was 25. I got involved in a support group. and people in that support group were like, they're like, you should do comedy, you should do comedy, and I didn't. Um, they would ask me to speak at different events. I actually, so before I started doing comedy, I was already doing like public speaking, and part of that would be funny. Like it wasn't hard to be funny. I'm one of those folks, like I'm not funny because I want to be funny. I'm funny because I have to be funny. Because I've had portions of my life where everything else was taken from me except all I could do was talk shit because I didn't have anything else. And then one day I'm walking down the street in downtown Olympia, past a place called the 1230 Room. I heard comedy going on inside. There was an open mic going on, and I decided I was like, "Hey, maybe I'll try it." And there was a comedian there. His name's Devin For Real, really nice guy. And I said, "Hey, like this is stand up, and is this like an open mic?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I thought about trying it, man. Maybe I'll give it a shot." And then I went up, and it was funny is he actually put me up. He knew me from around town, like people in Olympia have known me for a long time. Like I was a fairly I was a public figure in Olympia just because everybody knew who I was, just because I talked to everybody. And also I was a bouncer and everybody knew me from that. But anyway, yeah, I just went up and I told a story. And I got I got some big laughs. I did good the first time I went up, probably because I didn't really think about it. I just kind of did it. And then right when I did that, like something clicked. And I know a thing or two about when things click. It's the same thing that clicked the first time I got high and set me on a course of of self-assured destruction. Luckily, I pulled out at the last minute and didn't die doing drugs. But
Right.
yeah, dude, there was no going back. Looking back now at that, you realize that like that was me jumping into the pool, and I got wet indeed. And I haven't really looked back. And then basically once I started like I said, that was my first thought is like, oh no, I'm gonna get divorced over this. I was terrified. There was a lot of fear. I was so scared that that I wasn't going to be able to maintain my marriage and be a good father and do comedy. And my first 5 years, 6 years until COVID or whatever were me trying to balance my life and comedy and failing a lot. I lost a job because of comedy. I was a chemical dependency counselor. I lost that, lost friendships because of comedy, because of my choices. That instead of hanging out with this friend who was visiting from LA, I drove to do a guest spot in Portland for no money, and I made up an excuse that wasn't true. I lied to a friend of mine because I was, because there was a moment where every show was the most important show. And now my life, I'm a father, I go recovery. This is my order that I do. First off is my recovery, because without that, none of the other shit works. Recovery, family, community, comedy. But comedy is a part of all that because I support my family with comedy. I perform at AA and NA conventions around the country now. And a lot of people in my community, including you guys, are comics. Like that's
Right.
who I'm around a lot of the time, So
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, that's very real. People don't realize it, but like, yeah, I mean, my relationship is hanging by a fucking thread because of stand-up comedy. Because that's like, I'm obsessed with it. I always want to do it. Whenever like, let's go see a movie. I'm like, yeah, but there's an open mic that we can go to. Like, that's a night out, right?
yeah, I don't hardly play video games. I don't hardly watch movies. I love the NBA. I love basketball. I got to watch one finals game. And what's funny is that I actually watched the last game, the when Denver won. I watched it on my phone in the green room. like
Right.
of a show. But you know what? The thing is that performing stand-up comedy is the funnest. So,
Right.
dude, I had a blast, dude. Last night, not gonna lie, rough show last night. Lightly attended, big venue. It was hot in there. I had a blast, man, because I got this new joke that I'm working on, and it worked. And I riffed a lot. And there was a funeral director there, and I introduced my mom. My mom came, so I introduced her to the funeral director because my mom's getting old. And I was really on one last night. Uh, and yeah, like I said earlier, I want to see what happens next. And
Right.
I do have a healthy marriage. I do, and that's because I'm down to ask for help. So I have a therapist. Me and my boys are going to go jump into a river here in about a couple hours. We're going to drive to the Tootle River. We're going to go to this really great truck stop and get some food. And then we're going to go jump in the river.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
That
man.
sounds like
Yeah.
a fun Sunday right there.
Oh, it's going to be cool. Yeah. I got awesome kids, man. I'm a lucky guy.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you this last question, and then we'll get you out of here, Sam. Our fans would just be so devastated with
Here
me
it comes.
if I did not ask you the pinnacle crowning achievement question of open micers, and I expect to have a pretty good answer with your past addictions and homelessness. But Sam, when was the last time you shit your pants?
Oh, like how much shit?
However much is noteworthy. It doesn't have to be the last time if you have like a really good shitting your pants story.
Oh, okay. I got one. So
How much?
I started doing comedy full time, kind of, and it was between Delta and Omicron. I started between the variants, and I had a disastrous tour going on, and I lost a bunch of money. I was supposed to do shows for these rehabs in what's it called? Where the Mormons are, Salt Lake City.
Oh, yeah.
I was supposed to do these shows at these rehabs in Salt Lake City, but the shows got canceled because Omicron or whatever, right? Doing these shows. At the last minute, I got to fill in. I actually filled in for Sam Talent. He had like personal stuff going on. I filled in for Sam Talent in Fort Collins, Colorado. And so I moved. I canceled one show in Boulder, and I went and did this show. And I got to headline, and I made enough money to cover expenses,
Nice.
but I didn't have enough money for a hotel. So I just basically started driving from Colorado back home, which is about a 23-hour drive. And it was like 4 a.m, and I was in Wyoming, right? And there was thunderstorms all around me, right? But not one raindrop actually hit my car. But I'm watching this lightning in the distance across the prairie. It was fucking awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to Pink Floyd, and I had my windows down and my shirt off, and I was just driving really fast. And it's weird because I don't do drugs or whatever, but sometimes it's like I do drugs, it's like driving across Wyoming, and you can have psychedelic experiences completely sober if you set your life up the right way. But anyway, I'm driving. It's very windy, right? Very windy out on the prairie in Wyoming, and every time the lightning flashes, I'm seeing like the shapes of the mountains around me and stuff. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
But anyway, driving, right? Probably going about 90, which is like the speed limit out there. The speed limit's like 80 or whatever. So anyway, no other cars. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this giant white shape jumps in front of my car, right?
Whoa.
And my initial thought was that it was a horse, like a white horse had jumped in front of my car. And it was just right there. And it scared me so bad that I didn't shit my pants. But when people are like, oh, it scared the shit out of me. I kind of had to poop already. And what happened was a little turd poked out, touched my underwear, and then popped right back in. And once I realized that I was okay. Because what it was is, that Tyvek stuff that they wrap houses with?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was about a 30-foot section of Tyvek that was blowing across the prairie.
Jesus.
And it blew in front of my car as I was driving. And so when my car hit it, it's just like, it's like nothing. It's like hitting like a bed sheet or whatever. I barely hit it at all. Mostly the wind from my car just kind of whoop, and it was behind me already. But it scared the shit out of me. It was fucking terrifying. And yeah, that was the last time that poop touched my pants. So that's why I asked like how much shit, because it probably just left like a little like, it's like one of those stampers they use in bingo.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking like a bingo marker, just like boop.
Shit.
Just a little stamp of shit on there.
Sam, that did not disappoint. I'm very glad we got to ask that question. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast, dude. I'm just a huge fucking fan of yours. Anything that people need to know, where can they find you? Talk about your podcast, everything.
Yeah, my podcast is called the Tarp Report with Sam and Jess. It's me and Jess Anderson's podcast. Jess Anderson is a newer comedian, and I think she's going to be she's already doing really well, but I think she's great. And yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff. I don't know. And when we started it, we were like, let's not talk about comedy, and like, let's not. And then we talk about comedy all the time. We were like, we won't have guests, and now we have guests, dude. My mom is a frequent guest on that podcast, which is fun.
Nice.
There's that, and then on social media, so Sam Miller Comedy on Facebook, Sam Miller Comedian on Instagram, Sam Miller Comedy on TikTok, and SamMillerComedy.com has all my stuff.
That will be in the show notes.
Yeah, cool. And what's funny is when I'm done with this, I gotta update my website and do all that stuff. Like I said, I got that album coming out October 20th for the special on whatever platform it is, and then October 27th for iTunes and all those other platforms.
Well, would you like to come back on the show in October?
I'd love to. You guys
Awesome.
are delightful.
Let's put them let's put them back on the schedule there, Jacob. You work that out for us.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
It has been an absolute blast being here with you today, Sam.
I had a good time too. You guys are cool,
dude. Best of luck with everything, and just keep us updated on everything, and we'll have you back on the show in October. Everybody out there, go check him out. Just go to SamMillerComedy.com and check out everything he's doing. Jacob, what you got going on before we leave today?
Yes, October 6th, you can catch me Stoned versus Drunk versus Sober Showcase. I will be on Team Drunk. You got a Happy Meal? Did you get me something? Oh, she tricked me. There's McDonald's waiting for me.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Look at you.
She's like, you don't get shit, Dad.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an episode of Open Micers without an unexpected appearance from the 3-year-old in the background. Yeah, Stone versus Drunk versus Sober. I'm going to be Team Drunk October 6th. Dude, this month on the podcast is going to be fucking phenomenal. We just kicked it off with Sam Miller. Next week, we've got Dave Stone. We've got Jake from the Joke World YouTube channel coming on. We've got Ian Bagg coming on in the middle of the month. And we're capping it all off with two fantastic local guys, Austin Church and Ben Compton, on the same episode. It's going to be a fucking blast.
I think I worked with Ben, actually. You know that?
Oh, yeah?
Ben Compton?
Maybe. I think we worked together in Austin. Maybe. I don't know.
More than likely.
More than
he did Heart of the
yeah.
City. That's his big credit.
Yeah,
I love him, dude. He's awesome. Yeah, you guys get in our Patreon. We're killing you with content over there. You get to see my screenplay. There's a new episode of Open Rants on there. We're going to do headliners on there. And yeah, you guys go get in the Patreon for $1 a month.
Yes, go to Patreon. Let me go ahead and play our music here. If you want to join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/OM
You get better.
And if you want to email us at openmicerspodcast@gmail.com. And our website is openmicers.com. Huge thank you to Mr. Sam Miller for being here today. And we will see you guys next week.
You should do better things with the conversation.
All Awesome. Well, that was the show.
Is that last part going to be, did that get recorded?
Yes, it did. Yes,
Good.
it's going to be on the episode.
I want that to be my closing statement.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody that's watching this on YouTube. Go check out Mr. Sam Miller.
I don't know why I saluted, because you did it.
That's all right. We will see you guys
Yeah, dude, America.
next week. It's July 5th when this comes out, but celebrate America, everybody.
There you go.